Welcome to the Shmuley Show. Gosh, do we have a great show for you today. Doesn't everyone say that? I mean, that's so pro forma, but I mean it. You know, when I debated Candace Owens on Pierce Morgan, she actually used ChatGPT in middle. We were talking about Dresden, the firebombing. She doesn't know anything. She's a brain dead anti-Semite. But this is all I use. This is it. These are my notes for my show. You know why? Because that whole Britannica you see behind me, maybe in the shot, maybe not, that is all freaking here. So 3 topics today. Number 1, we're going to talk about the war in Iran, obviously. Number 2, huge anti-Semitic attack outside a synagogue in New York. It looked like it was Gaza. It was so bad. I posted the video. Tens of thousands of you have seen it. Why did I say tens of thousands? We now know that 1.3 billion people in India and 1.4 billion people in China watch me live every single day. That is a fact. That is not fake news. So from those 2 countries alone, we probably have like a quarter of the Earth's population watching this show. And then finally, in Belgium, criminal prosecution by the government against 2 rabbis who are doing ritual circumcision. Wow. Belgium, the cowards of the Second World War who allowed the Nazis, they fought the Germans in the First World War, King Leopold. His son allowed the Nazis to walk straight through during the Holocaust, and now they're coming after Jewish circumcision. So let's begin. And it's a pleasure having you. And it's however great a pleasure it is for me to have you, it's a much greater pleasure for you to have me. Let's just get that straight. Okay, so we have Iran. We got a problem because at the 250th birthday of the United States of America, we Americans are more interested in being penalized or paying $30 more per gas per month than in liberating Iran and stopping a nuclear threat. Now, is that an indictment of America? No, we all work hard. Look, I got 9 kids to support, thank God. I got this little guy, me, to support. I know that money matters, but if you kick this can down the road, only 30% of Americans now support the war for Iran, and President Trump's approval rating is declining because of the war in Iran, and support for the war is cratering. But I ask you, what is the alternative? And I don't want to say talking points you've heard 1,000 times and you're going to fall into a snooze fest or go into a deep irreversible coma. You've heard all the arguments. But let me just be clear. Don't you think it's worth paying another $30 a month for every American household? And I know for a lot of us, that's a lot of money just to finish this damn job in Iran. Because the only reason Trump can't finish it, open the Strait of Hormuz, bomb the Iranian nuclear sites into oblivion, attack them again, no ground troops, or at least send Marines to take over Karg Island, where 80% of Iranian oil exports come from, is because you guys are telling him in the polls, no, we don't want this, and we're going to vote for the Democrats in the midterms in November, and they're going to take over Congress, and now it's a 50-50 thing. They may even take over the Senate, which would be a harder sell, but they may even take over the Senate. And then President Trump's agenda in the last 2 years of his presidency, of his administration, will be clogged and blocked in Congress. So he's pulling back, understandably, because he doesn't have American public support. But he has shown tremendous moral clarity in fighting Iran. Winston Churchill famously said that if the island of Britain, I'm paraphrasing, I wish I knew all the Churchillian quotes by heart. I know a lot of them by heart. But remember he said, if this island of Britain, this kingdom, is to last 1,000 years, they will say that this was their final hour. The RAF fighting the Luftwaffe in the Second World War. If President Trump's presidency will be remembered in 1,000 years, which it will be, he's a historical figure, they will say this was Trump's finest moment. Not the tax cuts and not, all these things that are more relevant to the immediate future, the here and now. Trump's war against Iran will be remembered as his finest hour. He will be remembered as the president that stopped an existential threat to the United States of America, to cities like New York, Boston, Washington, LA, Chicago, Miami, that can be taken out with one nuclear bomb, just one. And these days, nuclear bombs can be fit into a tiny little suitcase. You don't even need to forget that Iran has missiles that are going to ready to reach Western Europe. Soon they'll have missiles that can reach the continental United States. Trump has shown tremendous moral clarity, but he doesn't have our support. And I'm just confused. You guys would rather toy with a nuclear Iran, forget all the Iranian human rights abuses. That would be reason enough to punish them, because America is the leader of the world. We are a little bit of a globo cop. I know we're all kind of sick of it, but there's a responsibility to being the richest, most powerful nation in the history of the world. There are some humanitarian responsibilities. But let's say we're not America first, we're America only. Like the anti-Semites, Qatar Carlson, 2 Qatars in there. Everyone only does Qatarson. I get 2 in there. Clandis Ovens, Little Nicky Fuentes. They're not America first, they're America only. Let's say we're America only. Even if you're America only, isn't America only first and foremost to stop existential threats to the very survival of our country by having a crazed, lunatic, ideological government like the Iranian mullahs having a nuclear weapon? So what are Trump's options right now? Number one, continue the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz because Iran is losing $400 million a day and they're collapsing. The rial is worth toilet paper. You can't even wipe your butt with it. It's cheaper to buy toilet paper than to use the rial as to wipe your buttocks, okay? Then there's no food and everything else. People of Iran are suffering, but then you have the fact that the IRGC can't buy weapons. So why is Iran even they're not winning the war, God forbid. Why are they still in the war? One reason. There's only one reason. In fact, je m'appelle Gabriel. With America with the strongest military in the history of the world and blocking the Strait of Hormuz and the Iranians losing $400 million a day, how are they showing any grit? And they're so sick. I do give them credit. Evil is strong. Don't think that evil is weak. They're an evil government and they're showing a lot of grit and backbone but there's only one thing keeping them in the fight against America. That's our test, je m'appelle Gabriel. What is it? Here's a hint. It starts with a D and the second letter is an R. Third letter is an O. God. Fourth letter is an N. Fifth letter is an E. Drones? Yes, drones. What's keeping the Iranian military in this fight against America is that Iran perfected one thing. The Iranian mullahs perfected the art of building $35,000 drones that could take out tanks worth $5 million. They could take out, not battleships yet, thank God. But here's the thing. Iran will send a wave of 10 drones against an American ship, okay? Or against an American base, or against Israel. And that cost them $350,000. To take them down, we have not perfected an air defense system, a low-budget air defense system against these cheap drones. So every time they fire 10 drones, we're spending $30-40 million to stop those 10 drones. Because our missiles, remember, their drones cost how much, Gabe? $35,000. And our missile defense system, let's say in Israel, David Sling, David's Arrow, even the most famous of all, Iron Dome. Each one of these missiles is $1 million to $4 or $5 million. You fire 10 of them to take out 10 drones, and you've spent $40 million. That's why America has spent $25 billion already on this war. So the only reason Iran is still in the game is because they have drones. And by the way, in that respect, this is a very important war because America is now going to have to recalibrate its military in the same way we learned that big set piece armies like in World War II are kind of obsolete, right? And now it's about, drones. But we didn't learn that the air defense system has to be much cheaper. We need much cheaper missiles. We need a $35,000 missile to take out a $35,000 drone. When you're spending $40 million every single, and Iran knows this, and they know the American people are going to react. $25 billion already in the war. It's almost all defensive. Now, America has hit probably 13, 14, 15,000 Iranian targets with Tomahawk missiles, which also cost $5-10 million each. Or, B-2 bombers flying in from Kansas, F-15s, F-16s, F-18 Hornets flying from the American carriers, the Gerald Ford, the Abraham Lincoln. That's all expensive. But the real expense is these, and the depletion of the stock of these anti-drone missiles that are too damn expensive. So we've got to fix that. And by the way, that would have had to happen anyway. It's a good thing we found out now with a weaker opponent like Iran, as opposed to a much stronger opponent like China. God forbid we should ever go to war with them, but you don't know. You don't know if they're going to try to take over Taiwan tomorrow. Because China has a very evil government. Not as evil as Iran. There is no government on earth as evil as Iran. But China sucks. Their government, not the people. Mr. President, stay in the war. This is your finest hour. The world hates Jews. I'm not going to get into why. I think the world hates Jews because of Gabe, my producer and my dear friend and brother. Gabe, how much, I know it's, every day, Gabe and I, we work together. So he gets my emails and he sees all the social media stuff. Every day I get about 1,000 attacks, right, on social media. Half of them are anti-Semites saying, I want to decapitate you, disembowel you, kill you. You sell butt plugs with your daughter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Rabbi Butt Plug, which I turned into a virtue with my new book coming out, Kosher Sex for Anti-Semites. It'll be out in 2 months. because I'm very proud of kosher sex, and I'm very proud of saving marriages from divorce, and I'm very proud of saving the American marriage from becoming platonic and sexless. That's hell. That's a prison, to have no erotic joy from your husband or your wife, and to have to find it in porn or adultery, destroy your kids with a divorce. But the other half, Gabe, are Jews saying, why are you creating all this anti-Semitism? It's all Gabe. I didn't create anti-Semitism. I wish I could turn I want to show you the source of all anti-Semitism in the world. This is Jean-Appel Gabriel sitting right in front of me. Why does the world hate Jews? I have to do a whole show, maybe like a month of shows about that. But let's look at the effects. So last night at the Park East Synagogue, one of the most famous synagogues in New York City, so famous that even Pope Benedict visited it. Just think about that. Pope Benedict visited, and Rabbi Arthur Schneier, great guy, is the rabbi there. He's in his 90s, thank God. I believe he's a Holocaust survivor, pretty sure. So they did an evening where Israeli realtors came for people who want to buy an apartment in Jerusalem, Beersheba, Haifa, but they also sell apartments in Judea and Samaria, in the Jewish communities of, let's say, give me some here, Gabe. Malay Adumim would be a big one, right? And there's about Efrat is a big one, right? So the Jew haters who would find any pretext to hate Jews, they came out in their hundreds and they battled the police, and the NYPD was amazing. Now, Mamdani, who hates Jews to his core and hates Israel to his core, but he's stuck because he sucks so badly as a mayor, and the whole city is going down the toilet, that the last thing he needs is to also be accused by the Jews of antisemitism, which we have rightfully accused them of, but he's trying to play it both ways. But this time he came out and said that while he's going to get the NYPD to protect the synagogues, thank you, Mr. Mayor, thank you for not allowing a Holocaust on the streets of New York, he also wants to condemn the event because of the occupation. Mamdani's an embarrassment. New York looks like a total crap hole. I would say S-H-I-T hole, but I try never to curse on this show, especially because my kids watch it. You should curse in front of your kids. I hate when I do that. It's a crap hole, and it's because of Mamdani. So Mamdani actually, when Eric Adams, a great man, was mayor of New York, he passed a law that these protesters can't come within whatever, it's 100 yards, et cetera, of the synagogues. Mamdani overruled it. So they could get pretty close last night, and then they had to battle the NYPD. But the NYPD's been amazing because Jessica Tish, the commissioner, is amazing. She wears a Magen David. She's from a very prominent Jewish family. She's a very proud Zionist. Mamdani, I'm sure, would like to get rid of her and fire her tomorrow, but he can't because she has the confidence of the police, which he does not have. By the way, my prediction, Mamdani doesn't make it through one term. My prediction, he's definitely not going to be reelected, but I don't think he even makes it through one term. He is so incompetent. If you saw the pictures, the videos of the New York City like free or heavily subsidized supermarkets, you see the stuff, Gabe? You're completely empty shelves, like in the Soviet Union. This guy is so incompetent, it's actually comical if it wasn't so tragic. But last night you had a scene that looked like Gaza. All of these Palestinians, not only Palestinians, and the useful idiots and their collaborators, battling the police against realtors. That's what we Jews are suffering today. And that's why, look, Jean-Appel Gabriel, my dear friend and producer, who really should be my co-host because I've asked him to. He's afraid of being killed with you guys watching what he looks like, okay? Because I get so many death threats every day. But Jean-Appel Gabriel, we don't agree on everything with Israel. In fact, we disagree on most things about Israel. And yet, he's so effective that he was the one who was instrumental in organizing the 3 or 4 major things that I did in Times Square that our organization, the World Values Network, organized over the past 3 or 4 years. October 7th, the first anniversary, Yom Ha'atzmaut, during the 2-year war. We had like 10,000 people. Gabe organized almost the entire thing. If you guys want to join me, and we have to respond in New York City, which is the new Rome, capital of the world, financial capital. You saw at the Met Gala. No, I didn't get an invitation. I'm too short and ugly. I get it. Big nose Jew. I get it. All the stuff you guys tell me, whatever else you tell me. Gabe, wait, what else do I get? I get the fact that my hair looks like I have pubic hair on my face. I can go through the whole thing. Pubic hair on my face. That's a good one. But I didn't get invited, but with the Met Gala, we are the fashion capital of the world, New York. We are the financial capital of the world. We're the diplomatic capital of the world because the increasingly irrelevant UN still happens to be there until we knock it down and build the New York Jets giant stadium so they finally actually play in New York instead of the Meadowlands in New Jersey. New York matters. We have to do a giant event in New York City. We haven't done one in a year and a half, Gabe. And Gabe's going to run away. When I say this, he's going to say, no, I'm not supporting Israel publicly. Too late. You are a Jew. You can't escape. You see, if Gabe were in heaven and God would have said to him, look, your father converted to Judaism. Your father is an African-American from North Carolina, raised Christian. Your mother's Jewish. And they now live in Israel. And your brothers and sisters went, and you actually served in the IDF, but you're a big critic of Israel. So we're going to give you the choice. God says to him, Gabe, you can either be a nice WASP, Anglo-Saxon Protestant. You're half African-American, half white, but we can make you fully WASPy white. Or we can make you British with a great accent. Or we can make you what you really want to be, Swiss, neutral, on the fence always. Genève. Never take a side. That is the essence of being Swiss, Gabe. Never take a side. If they're giving you the choice, you still would have chosen to be Jewish. I know it. Actually, you know what? You wouldn't have. You really would have said, the last thing, give me the wasp, baby. Give me the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, Thor-looking Viking invader from Denmark look, okay? That's what you would have said. You might have even rejected your African-American side and your Jewish side. You would have rejected both minorities. I believe that. Yeah, you would have gone frickin' mainstream and sold out to join the persecutors. Yeah, Gabe. Think about that, Jean-Appel Gabriel. Think about that. And yet, he's the only one who can pull off these giant celebrations for Israel. I really can't do it. He's like a frickin' master of it. So you have a Jewish ex-IDF soldier, huge critic of Israel, who's like a brother to me. He's part of our family, who has huge, but he ends up doing these giant things for Israel because he's the only one who can pull it off. And you know why? It's what we Jews call the Pintel Yid, that little spark of Jewishness that even Jean-Appel Gabriel, with all of his Swiss credentials and all, living in Istanbul and, selling going to Qatar every month and saying, look, just give me a few $1 million. I'll give you all the dirt and Rabbi Shmuley and then he gets all these secret payments from Qatar. And one day, I just suddenly see Gabe, he's being picked up by, in a Maybach with a driver and it says gift from Altani and the license plate. I get it. And with all of that, he has that Pintel Yid, that little, Gabe, we are doing an event in Times Square. The Altanis will like it. They'll pay you even more from Qatar because you'll get more intelligence of all the pro-Israel people who turn up. You can up your demands, which leads me to the last thing. By the way, I'm serious. Write to info@shmuley.com if you want to participate and help us organize a massive event in Times Square. Write to info@shmuley.com if you want, and I want to do it quickly. I want to do it right after the Jewish festival of Shavuot, so beginning of June. Perfect time. Days are long. It's nice weather. It's not too hot yet because New York becomes like filthy. New York has the worst weather of all. Freezing in the winter and you freeze your gonads off and then sweating your gonads off in the summer. Like, who chose this island that my Native American brothers and sisters sold for like $21? Come on. My Native American, you sold this, and I understand, because you saw it swamp infested, terrible. Little did you realize that all the capitalists would come and put up these giant buildings and rip you off. And then the Jews moved in, little realizing that they would become the targets of every Free Palestine march in New York. But it's New York City, baby, and you can't move away from it. I love New York, which leads me to a place I don't love. I kind of like Belgium. A lot of Orthodox Jews live in Antwerp. Belgium has a lot of history. But Belgium fought the German invasion under von Kluck in 1914. They're a tiny little army, and they fought the Germans for 3 or 4 weeks, and they ruined all the German plans to conquer Paris and the von Schlieffen plan. Look it all up. I'm not going to go too deeply into it. That was the First World War. I love military history. But in the Second World War, the Germans gave the Belgians an ultimatum. And Gabe, what did they do this time? The son of King Leopold, I forgot his name. You should look it up. Total coward. He sold out his country. He's remembered but in ignominy till today. I met the current king of Belgium and his wife at Auschwitz. Look at the pictures. We should post that today. And I think he's a grandson of this coward. But what are the Belgian authorities doing now with so many Jews who were deported from all over Belgium straight to Auschwitz? They were collaborationists with the Nazis. They are now prosecuting 2 rabbis for doing circumcisions. And officially, now, there's tons of Muslims. They're my brothers. Islamists live there. They're not my brothers. They're killers and terrorists. But there's tons of Muslims, and they circumcise their children at 13, and they're not being prosecuted. But the Jews are. Is active anti-Semitism? Of course it is. It's Belgium. What do you expect? But here's the point. Belgium's official reason is that the Muslims are using doctors, right, Gabe, like in a hospital, and the Jews are using ritual circumcises, what we call a moel. Let me tell you something. A Moel has, a ritual circumciser, 1,000 times more experience than any doctor doing a circumcision. They are 1,000 times more sanitary. They are 1,000 times. Let me tell you something. We Jews circumcise, I don't know, 1 million kids a year, probably. Complications, if it's 0.25%, I would be surprised. There is no one better to do a circumcision, even for non-Jewish kids than a Moel. They're so experienced and they're trained so well and it's so sanitary. And I know this personally, not only because I'm circumcised, TMI, but because my sons were circumcised and I saw them all do it. Not the prettiest picture, I have to admit. And then my grandsons. I served this called the Sandak holding my grandsons. The Moels are the biggest experts. So this is a fake and false prosecution on the part of anti-Semitic Belgians to simply get at the Jews yet again. And that's all this is. And we all know it. Disgusting Belgium. And they won't stop. When Europe, I'm speaking to Europeans. By the way, Gabe, I want to start doing what John Stewart. John Stewart is a proud Jew. Israel hater, unfortunately, so that part isn't proud. But he's the most talented man on American TV. Okay, we have to start to, he goes, he suddenly turns to the other camera to say something. So I want to go to camera B to speak to my European brothers and sisters. We don't have a camera B, so I got to go back to you. I want to go to, start here. I want to go to camera B just to speak to my European brothers and sisters. When are you guys going to stop hating Jews? We just had 2 Jews that got knifed in the neck in Golders Green, London, a place that I used to spend so much time at. It's nice that they're giving free knives to Jews in Britain because, if you get knifed in the neck, you get to keep the knife. So I get it. Thank you. But we can give up the free knives. Your continent is a giant cemetery for Jews. Poland, a country I love, is a giant cemetery for Jews. Germany, a country I don't love as much. Although Jean-Michel Gabriel spends tons of time in Berlin because he says they have the best nightlife. Do they? Really? I don't know, Germans' nightlife? It's not the view I have of the German psyche, to be perfectly honest. They really know how to let go? With massive quantities of drugs, probably. Okay. Germany, not my favorite country, giant cemetery for Jews. Belgium, giant cemetery for Jews. Holland, giant cemetery for Jews. Anne Frank, etc. Spain, going back to 1492, the expulsion, giant cemetery for Jews. Auto de Fe's, the Spanish Inquisition. When Europe, at what point do you guys hit a critical mass where you're actually embarrassed at how much you hate Jews? That you're prosecuting 2 ritual circumcises, these rabbis who make no money just to bring people into the covenant of Abraham, let alone all of the medical benefits of circumcision. That the human papillomavirus is not transmitted by husbands to their wives, and women die from this all the time. There's a 90% reduction for someone who's circumcised. Then there's all of the filth that accumulates in what's it called? In a foreskin. And believe me, okay, I'm not going to do any foreskin jokes. No time for foreskin jokes today. But all the dirt and filth and germs and bacteria that accumulates in it, it's disgusting. Circumcision also is the best way to stop the transmission of AIDS. If you're circumcised in places like Africa where AIDS is still rampant, you have a 95% reduction of the transmission of AIDS if you're circumcised. The virus can't live there. So the whole world should be circumcised. Okay, we'll get our knife. I'll help. But we Jews know how to do it better than anyone because we've been doing it for 3,300 years, and our ritual circumcisers Moels are trained the best. Now I have to end with a joke. Gabe's going to roll his eyes. And the 2 best ritual circumcisers in all of New York, Gabe, that I always recommend to people are Dr. Boris. Dr. Boris, cut your cock off. By the way, they're going to hold that one against me. Yes, Dr. Boris, cut your cock off. Is very available for any man. I have a friend that Gabe and I had dinner with him the other night. He works at the UN. He wants to convert to Judaism, but he's not circumcised. He's afraid of it. So I introduced him. I said, don't worry, Dr. Boris, cut your cock off. We'll take good. He didn't know that I was joking. And who's his partner? Dr. Ivan Kachpekarov. So whether you go to Dr. Kachakakov or whether you go to Dr. Kachpekarov, and I know this is going to be a highlight thing that will appear on Candace Owens' feed by tonight. Hi, Tucker Katarson. Hi, Little Nikki Fuentes. Hi, Megyn Kelly. Hi, Kanye West. Hi, yes. If any of you are not circumcised, I will introduce you to Dr. Boris Kachikakov and his associate, Dr. Ivan Kachpekarov. And with that, my friends, stop the Jew hatred. President Trump, thank you for your incredible fight against Iran, those disgusting mullahs who kill women for showing hair, who bury women alive and then have their sons drop giant stones on their head, literally, who take gay men and hang them from cranes. Thank you for fighting these evil people, and worst of all, who threaten Israel with annihilation and genocide, and most of all were Americans who threatened America, the great Satan, with elimination and genocide. God bless you all. Gabe, God bless you. Thank you for doing a great show again today. Gabe's my brother. And to all the people out there, God bless all of God's children, and of course, the United States of America, about to celebrate 250, baby. Yeah. Oh, don't forget to buy Comeback Nation. How did I forget that? Me and Mendy wrote this book. It's amazing. Look at even the frickin', if you just want to look at the pictures. When's the last time you saw full color pictures of the war in Gaza, in Lebanon? It reads like a novel. It is amazing. It's incredible. And you guys have got to, okay, I signed this to someone already. Okay, you got to buy the book. Order it from Shmuley.com, SHMULEY.com. Order it from Shmuley.com, SHMULEY.com. Gabe, last one. Order it from where? Shmuley.com. And how do you spell it? Louder. SHMULEY.com. Shmuley.com. And one more time, Gabe, for any of our non-Jewish friends who are considering being circumcised or becoming Jewish, they should call 1-800. Kachikakov. Dr. Boris Kachikakov. Free book when you're circumcised. Shalom.